There were so many things that I saw in World Domino Collective where I was like, oh my gosh, that is so smart. Why have I not been doing this? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. At this event, they have so many types of domino tools and just things that they use to help them build dominoes that I literally didn't even know existed. For example, they literally have a curve template. Yeah, like a template that helps you make the perfect curve. And it's so simple. It's just like a piece of wood with a little handle and markers on the corner so you know exactly where to place the domino to make a perfect curve. And this is really smart because especially at a domino event, you want things to be pretty standardized. You don't want to have domino curves that are too sharp. So having a template like this that anyone can just pick up and align the dominoes with and make the same curve for every domino line is like really helpful. And the handle is also just a nice touch to be able to easily move it out. But like, who knew? Like, there's actually a curve template. I was very excited to actually use one when I was building some of the lines. It was fun. Another interesting thing about domino lines is that for connecting lines, they make double lines. So there's basically just two domino lines running through the entire domino project, connecting one to the next. Rather than a single line, the purpose of this is to just make it more reliable because you never know, like there could be a time where a domino line actually fails. There could be glue on it, there could be something that gets knocked out of place. And for a project this large, they want to make sure that it really does work all the way through. So the double lines serve as sort of like a safety, but also because of the size of the project, having a double line just kind of fits the scale of the domino projects. For example, like if you have a 20,000 piece domino field and a single line next to it, that line is going to look so small like compared to everything else. So having the double line sort of matches the size of the projects and it makes it easy to see where the line is, and it acts as sort of a safety in case one of the lines does fail. And you might notice that the domino lines are placed in a very particular color and order. Now, if we take a closer look at the lines, you'll see that they're built generally with two different colors, and they switch the colors on either side every 50 dominoes. And this is super smart because now they can count how many dominoes are in the setup by just looking at the lines. And it's very easy to count the connecting lines, and also it allows them to see how many dominoes will be falling in a certain amount of time. So if they know a project is going to fall in, for example, 10 seconds, they can build 10 or more seconds in the domino lines so that the lines will be slower than the domino project and you don't miss anything. Now, they always build in extra lines too because it's better to have more backup lines than fewer backup lines and having the dominoes beat the actual main project. Another interesting thing that I saw was a technique used to pull a string to topple some sort of structure or a weight. They would use these stacked vertical domino towers, and this acts as the same as a half bridge. I thought that was just very smart because that uses much less space and it looks maybe more elegant and it always works. I also really appreciated how they had all these wooden blocks just like laying around so that if a structure started falling by accident, you could take one of the blocks and quickly like put it on the structure so that it would stop it and you could easily rebuild it. There were quite a few moments where a structure would fall and these blocks would come to the rescue. They would literally save the day. So then you don't have to be stuck holding a domino wall manually with your hand. But by having a block there that can just stay without having a human involved was very handy. This was really useful, especially for building the maze structure, because this was a full 3D structure and those blocks were actually able to save a full structure. Like not even just a wall, but like a 3D structure with the weight on top of it. I have actually never done something like that before, so I think that's something that I'll try to implement in my own workflow if I'm making a really big domino wall or structure.
Let's go!
Yeah! I really appreciated how after every project was finished, we would always take a moment to clap. So we'd finish a project, we'd place the last domino, and then People would cheer, you'd see people all the way in the other end of the hall clapping, maybe not knowing what's going on, but they're there, they're supportive, and it just kind of makes you feel really good when you finish a project. We had some very good teamwork here at World Domino Collective. Another thing about this event that might be slightly overlooked is the fact that all of these props are handmade. Like all the wooden structures, the fall walls, the decorations, the slides, the train track decorations, the rocket prop, everything you see here was hand cut, like drilled together, painted, literally all from scratch. The decoration is truly top-notch, and that's something that really stood out to me. Like, they're not just building domino projects, they're making legitimate props, and that is so much work. I just want to like give everyone who worked on the props a big round of applause, like Peter, Thomas, Wim, Yap. This stuff is really cool, and I think there's so much to explore with larger props and dominoes, and having such a large team to make these big projects is just a great way to showcase what's possible with dominoes and beyond dominoes using these different types of mechanisms. I think that's something that really makes an event like this unique, having such props that are not just something that you build on, but something that can move at the same time. Like the coin pusher, for example, was like part of the chain reaction, and the scoreboard could move and fall over and reveal something else, which was really, really cool. Another thing, now in retrospect, this makes perfect sense, especially at an event where it's this large, but they have a dedicated area to this sounds kind of odd, but like empty out all the dirt from the bins. And if you're a domino builder, you know what I mean, right? Like when you're building dominoes, occasionally there'll just be dirt or like little pieces of plastic that build up at the bottom of the bin. And over time, like as you finish a bin, there'll just be like all these little specks of dust in it. And you don't want that to be on the floor as you're building, because that can like be very, very risky. So as people were finishing their projects and emptying bins, they would bring a finished container to the area designated with tape and empty out the bin, clean it out, and all of these extra pieces of plastic and dirt and everything was then vacuumed up and never seen again. They also had so many rolling carts to transport domino containers. This was so handy. Like, I think the bins, like the large bins, hold 4,000 dominoes. 4,000 dominoes! That is incredibly heavy. Like, I could barely even pick it up. I think we need a smaller bin. Let's cut here.
Use the legs.
But having all of these rolling carts just available to wheel dominoes over was so handy. I definitely need to get some of these. Now, as the setup was getting larger and more risky to walk around, they added these barriers specifically so you had a walking path to get to things without having to walk over the dominoes necessarily. Now, the fact that they have this built into the master plan, like where to walk, is really, really helpful. And it just made walking through the setup much less stressful. Now, one thing that kind of blew my mind was how they approach safety gaps, because they were filling in some seriously risky gaps literally hours before the fall down. Like, for example, the end wall had mouse traps on either side of the wall, and there was probably like 1.5 feet of space to like place your foot and attach the string in the mouse trap and make sure that it's all good. And like, wow. Also, they wait till the very end to fill in the field starters, which I was like, whoa, that seems like really risky. But you know, they have some very experienced builders who are used to doing things in small spaces under a lot of pressure, and they trust themselves to fill in the gaps at the last minute. Like, there was even a section in the project that had to be built probably an hour before toppling because the line went through the walking section. So we went and like took a team photo, and everyone had to walk over a line. So there was a lot that I learned at World Domino Collective. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything new as well. You can check out the full fall down video over on Dutch Domino Team's channel, as well as all of my other videos from this event using the links in the description. I also want to give a shout out to our featured community member, Companion Cube Dominoes. They've been making some really great projects, so please go support their channel. And as always, I'm Lily Hevish, and keep on building.